It's Magic 104.9, Grand Rapids #1 for hip hop. And let me just start off by saying it's not an average day today that I am interviewing someone who I have watched their career for a while now. I have loved this man from not only his Disney show, High School Musical, the series. I've also watched him perform as Evan in Dear Evan Hansen. And now he's changing my life yet again by being none other than MJ for the MJ musical. I've got one of my favorite actors. We've got Roman Banks on the line. How are you feeling, sir?
Wow, high praise. Thank you so much. No, that's so heartwarming to hear. I'm feeling great, especially after that.
Hey, I just have to say, the song that you did as Howie for that song, woo, I still have that on my Spotify till this day. You sing down, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. So you're doing MJ the musical. That is such a huge feat, especially after the 15th anniversary of his passing. So, one, can you tell us a little bit about what MJ the musical is about? Obviously, it's about Michael Jackson, but what phases of his life are we going to be seeing when it comes to DeVos here?
You see predominantly one phase, but you do see three different phases of his life. So, we get the little Michael in our show, which is like early Jackson 5 days, played by, we have three wonderful young actors between the ages of, I believe, 11 and 13 who portray that version of Michael brilliantly. And then we get like a teenage, like Jackson's into early Thriller era Michael, which is a lot of people's just like nostalgic favorite because that's the version they really remember growing up personally with as he climbed to the superstar that he became to be. And then you have my version, which is kind of like our narrator and the time of the show where we are in real time, because the show takes place in 1992 during the final 2 days of rehearsal for his Dangerous tour. So at this point, Off the Wall through Bad have been released, and well, as Dangerous has as well, and he's preparing to, make this tour the best thing it can be after, coming off of such a high with the Bad album and the Bad tour, just constantly trying to elevate the bar and one up himself. And so that's kind of where we find him in this artistic challenge and endeavor to, continue to push himself to be the greatest that he can possibly be, and not really taking no for an answer.
Well, my question is, I know that in your previous characters that you've played, they've all been rather fictional. So how is it nerve-wracking or scary to take on someone who the entire world already knows and has such a love and a joy about? Like, is it nerve-wracking to play Michael Jackson every night?
It used to be.
Okay.
Well, I don't even know if I'll say it used to be nerve-wracking to play him, but when I got the job, it was definitely nerve-wracking to wrap my mind around that, because he was just such an icon, and he's so recognizable. So there's not really a veil you can hide behind when you play Michael. Everything's on display, and I think from the moment you walk on stage, people are expecting something of you. Like, does he walk like him? Does he talk like him? Does he sound like him? Does he move like him?
Right.
Everyone knows exactly what that caliber of perfection and quality is. And so it's like, how are you going to rise to that occasion?
Right.
So that was something that really boggled me when I first got the role, because I was just like, this is such a big journey ahead of me. And I'm like, am I going to do it justice? But I quickly found that with our creative team, we just had such brilliant artists who brought the show to life that I wasn't going to, failure wasn't an option, basically. Right. And once I realized that, I was able to kind of just get out of my own way and focus on the work. And, today I'm really proud of what I've gotten to, the place I've gotten to with my portrayal of him, and the wonderful things people have to share when they come to see a show. And so, yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see it because, again, I've already loved you. So what bad could you do, in my personal opinion? But from what I've been hearing about this show so far, you've also been killing it. So just good job on that. I hope that you are soaking in all of the love and support that you've been getting. And you talked about how it could be a little challenging to rise to that occasion, to seek perfection. And I kind of just want to know, what was the hardest part of this process? Learning the choreo, the songs are pretty easy because we all know them, but what was the hardest part getting into this character, MJ?
Yeah, no, you hit it right on the head. The choreo was definitely, I didn't dance for 5 years before I got this show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so my body, it was just not, MJ's movement is so specific.
Mm-hmm.
It's and so I had to go through a really long just conditioning process to even condition my body to hold shapes in the way that his body does,
Right.
And I had to build calluses on my feet just because of, how much he put his feet through,
Mm-hmm.
and so eventually I would my feet would be just aching after rehearsals, and one day I was like, why don't they hurt anymore? And I felt the area that used to hurt, and it was just hard as a rock. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was a lot of training in order to not only learn it, but just to make it, because, when we meet Michael at this point in the show, he's 33. He's
Mm-hmm.
been dancing for over 2 decades. And
Right.
so my goal was I can't just look like this stuff is on my body. It has to look so in my body. It has to look like I'm breathing this movement. It has to look so secondhand. And so that's something that I'm always working on each and every day. I'm watching his performances still, just to make any move I do or want to do look as natural as possible. I want it to always look like I'm in the pocket, and that it's fresh, and that it's coming from me feeling in the moment, and not just okay, now I'm going to do this part here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I want you to look like you're watching a breathing, living Michael,
Man, as a fellow actor, I love how dedicated you are, because the fact that you are still trying to perfect little things still to this day, and you've been on tour for months, that's incredible.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so I know we've been talking about the show a lot, but I've got to ask some questions that are a little bit more fun. So obviously I talked about all the other characters that you have played. So which character do you think that you relate to the most, or that you see yourself in more? Is it Evan? Is it Howie? Is it MJ? Which is it?
It's certainly MJ.
Okay.
We are both perfectionists, and, I oftentimes, I was reading an audition side the other day, and it was one of the lines was my father says that our best quality, the flip side of our best qualities is our worst quality.
Mm.
And so, for me, that's perfectionism. And I think for Michael, that's perfectionism, where it's because he was such a perfectionist, we get masterpieces like the Smooth Criminal short film, the Thriller
Right.
short film, the Bad tour, but we also get a performer who, wasn't aware of his own shortcomings. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? In terms of, there are many rehearsals where Michael had to be picked up off the ground after spending the day rehearsing, because he would just push his body to the absolute limit.
Right.
There's another performance with HBO that never actually happened because Michael fully passed out during a performance and fell on his face and had to go to the hospital.
Yep.
And was quite close to death, at the time of filming. And so it got canceled due to his health. And then obviously we have the way that he passed on,
Right.
and so it's this toxic perfectionism that led him down a road that ultimately was his demise. And a lot of that is due to his own nature, but a lot of that stems from, I believe, the work ethic that his father instilled in him in order to become the best, what he had to sacrifice. And a lot of times that was his own health.
Right. It dumbfounds me how incredible we all believe Michael is and know that he is. And I wish that he would have known that for himself, even if it was just in the smallest sense. But I know that he's looking down, so proud of what you guys have all created for this show, especially you, sir.
Well, thank you. That's very sweet.
No problem. And my last question is, obviously I can't say, you can obviously say that you have a favorite Michael song, so you can say that as well. But when people come and see this show at DeVos Performance Hall, July 9th through 14th, what do you want people to leave with when they leave MJ the Musical?
I want people to have a deep-rooted belief in themselves when they leave our theater. That was Michael's defining quality. Michael, while making Thriller, he wrote on his mirror like 100 million albums sold.
Yep.
And he would say that in the mirror over and over and over again. And he would go into the studio and he would tell people, they were thinking like, okay, Michael, how many singles do you want to do for this album? And he would say, I want every song on this album to be a single. Mm-hmm. And even Quincy Jones was like, Michael, let's come a little bit more down to earth, but it's like he didn't need anyone else to believe in him but himself. Even the people who were helping him make the thing with him. Like, I need people to understand how wild that is. It's like if you're making breakfast with somebody and you're like, this is going to be the best pancake ever made. And they're like helping you put the flour in and they're like, no, I need you to relax. And you're pouring in the buttermilk like, no, this is going to be the best pancake ever made. And then it is, Like, even if the person you're making the thing with doesn't see your vision, you can't conform to, the opinions and the comparisons that other people will make on you. And this is by today's standards that we're probably viewing this with. But this is when Black artists were still trying to cross a color barrier, a race barrier in music. And he's saying, beyond all of that, I'm still going to be the biggest of all time. Like, it's a different level of confidence and belief in oneself. And it comes from Michael, it comes from God, and it comes from God for me. And so I think that's what people have to tap into. Like, who did God make me to be? Whew. And how do I do that to the fullest? And so I think you can watch Michael, you can watch our show and feel that. Even if you don't even know how to recognize it, like, you can feel that determination and you can see how he became the legend that he is by persevering deep into his career. Because at this point, he's competing with himself. You know? He's still competing with himself when we're watching the show. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until the late 90s where the competition really did rise up against him. And, he wasn't the number one selling artist in the world after a decade, But yeah, I want people to take that to heart. It's not just a show, this actually happened. And at one point it was very unrealistic. For everybody, including Michael.
Like the TikTok girlies say, you got to have a little bit of delulu, a little delusion to make your dreams come true.
Michael was delusional. But like writing something on your mirror and saying it over and over and over and over and over again, like, that's bonkers. And it happened. It's still the greatest. He was 24 and he made the greatest selling album of all time.
Whew, man.
24 years old.
Clearly, I need to be doing something differently because I'm about to be 27. So, if I bust out with the greatest album of all time, don't say nothing.
I'm not going to say nothing. I'm going to be like, see? Exactly. She got it. She took it from the show and she got it.
Well, thank you so much, Roman, for your time. I am so excited to finally be able to see your greatness in person. And hopefully one of these days during one of these shows, I'll be able to meet you. But I am so, so honored for you to be able to have this role. And I'm so excited for all of my listeners to be able to experience this too.
Yes, please. I can't wait. Yeah, bring it on.
Well, have a good day, Roman.